It is a new day, a new week, and things are still very messy. Last week I was hoping to take you guys through the process of planting some of the fruit trees that I've bought, most of which are dwarf trees because this property in winter doesn't get a huge amount of sunlight, and so I don't want to plant trees around the edges of the property and minimize the amount of sun for the veggie patch. Last week we had the snake drama. Then there was a tick bite in the neck. Now, because I have very limited number of lymph nodes in the neck because I've had cancer before, I don't do well with tick bites. I'm also allergic to their saliva, so I have felt pretty crook for the rest of this week. So we've had a very slow start to today because I went to get a massage, which helps me clear all that out. So I feel a lot better now. And you can see, even when I was feeling sick, I still dug a trench. It's not all that straight, but it's straight enough. And it will do. And this is the other end, hopefully you can see with the sun behind me. So this is to have the plumbers come in and put some tap points so I can water from both sides of the yard without permanently pulling the hose down from the deck and getting tangled. The other thing we're going to do while we wait for the plumber to come and lay the pipe, which sounds bad, but whatever, is we're going to try and get these fruit trees in the ground. Except we can't get them in the ground because, as you can see, the fence still hasn't been cleaned and painted, which is fine. It's been raining and it's been windy, so there's nothing they can do. But what we're going to do is we're going to use these pots, which are from my previous home, and we're going to pop the apples, and the dwarf peach is already popping a bloom, so it needs to be planted up. The roses are coming out of dormancy. But so what I thought I would do is pop them in larger pots so that I can deal with them later, and also so that they can sit there for a year or two or three or four if I don't get that far. And that just kind of lets them sit in places where they're going to get way more sunlight so they can grow faster, so that when I put them along the fence line where they will get sun if they're a little bit taller. I can't remember where I was going with that sentence, but anyways, the idea is to let them grow a bit, and then when they're a little bit more mature, because they're teeny tiny now, pop them along the fence line. They might still need to be in pots to lift them up because I mean, it's winter, and we're behind the shed, so there won't be a lot of sunlight here, but we want to get a little bit more sunlight for these plants so they grow, because I don't want to plant them all along that fence line because there's limited room and there's a huge pile of sticks in the way and logs and tree trunks. So I figured that at least for now, if they go in pots, they can potentially be moved over there down the track. Can sort it out later, but they need to be somewhere before they get too far out of dormancy. One of the other things we talked about last week was the need for privacy. One side of my house is bordered with a Airbnb type holiday house. Not a big deal. They've also put up some bamboo, so once that grows, and hopefully does not come across my side of the fence, but once that grows, it will provide both of us some privacy from each other, which is lovely. But my other neighbor is always home, which he's lovely, it's fine, but he does peer over the fence sometimes, which is fair enough because the garden is looking lovely, but we need a bit of privacy. So I have ordered, and I want to have this conversation inside just in case I run the risk of offending anyone. I want to plant them all along the more shaded side of the fence boundary. Pittosporum can take part sun, but because they're teeny weeny at the moment, even the larger ones, which were twice the price of the smaller ones, which have only just arrived 10 minutes ago, they will still need to grow up a little bit, or summer to hurry up and come along, and the sun to be a little bit higher in the sky, because at the moment if I plant them now, excluding the fact that the fence is not painted, so I wouldn't plant them now, but if I planted them now, they would only get about 2, maybe 3 hours of morning sun, and it would be not full-bodied morning sun because the fence would cast some shadow. Once they get a little bit taller, they will be fine. Once the sun gets a bit higher in the sky, they will be totally fine. And apparently Pittosporum can put on about 1 meter of growth in a 12-month period or a season. And that means that if they put on that much growth in a season, they'll be getting plenty of sun in winter. So let's go and get the new little ones out of the box because they've just arrived and I couldn't find the scissors. So we've got pruning saws to open the box. Hello, tiny plants. Let's get these guys out and watered, but let's have a look. Let's pull one out. Oh my god, they're stuck. Okay, so we won't be pulling one out and getting it watered. Let's just get these down the back, out of the boxes, and watered. Look at these beautiful plants. One out of 15 with a broken branch is actually, I think, pretty good. And even better is the bigger ones that I previously got are nearly twice the price of these smaller ones, but some of these smaller ones are only about 10 centimeters smaller than the bigger ones, so bonus. So you can see this is one of the newer ones on the left, and this is one of the larger, more expensive original ones. And you can see they're really like almost as tall as each other. It's certainly not as thick and bushy as this one, but just in terms of getting some height for some privacy, like, that's fantastic. I'm really happy with that. I feel like I never quite managed to get everything sorted. Now I've got to go down the road and get more soil and more potting mix to actually plant up these giant containers with the fruit trees. It's just, I think I've got everything I need, and then something happens and I don't. And also something happens and derails my time. So I've just been on the phone with the police because apparently a couple of doors down, someone's car was stolen, and someone also tried to break into this window. So it's all happening here. We've got the police, we've got snakes, we've got tick bites, we've got a nursery run to get more potting mix. So let's get it done and try and get these plants in the ground or in a container. I just got back from the nursery and of course picked up something that was not on the list, which is a beautiful Linwood Gold Forsythia. So hopefully this should give me some amazing autumn color. But when I got here, the police were here wanting to have a look at the window and wanting to have a little bit of a chat about it. So then of course I ended up chatting with my neighbor afterwards. And he made a comment that during the daytime he can see all the way through the house, all the way to the fence on the other side. So those Pittosporum need to go in like yesterday and get some privacy screening going, because that's a little strange and a little weird that he told me, to be honest. A little weird. Let's pretend that didn't happen and get on with it. So one of the reasons I picked up this Forsythia is because Australia, especially where I have lived in Australia, doesn't have a lot of a real 4 seasons. When I lived in London, they had a real 4 seasons. You had blossoms in spring and autumn color, and that just doesn't really happen where I've lived in Australia, and I would like that to happen. So this is going to give me some beautiful yellow foliage in autumn, and better than that, it is a part shade, so it will be happy along that fence line where we need some privacy immediately. So let's go take this guy outside. So what we're going to be planting is a dwarf Jonathan apple and a dwarf red Fuji apple, because those two are great co-companions in terms of pollination. So for the time being, they're going to live in these pots. It is to be determined where they're going to live long term, but hopefully they'll be very, very happy, at least for the next couple of years, in these pots. So this one is the dwarf Jonathan. This is the lavish blue double lavender. I had one left over, so I picked up two more when I was at the nursery, just to try and bring some pollinators to the area. This one's looking a bit sad because it's in need of water. Oh, it's so dry. And for around the Jonathan apple, I got 3 white Snow Princess lavender, which feel a bit root bound. Oh, definitely a bit root bound. While I was at the nursery, I picked up what I thought was another peach sorbet blueberry, and this one's actually a pink icing, so oh well, it's another variety. What I was trying to do was get 2 of the same kind, but that doesn't matter. So we have 3 blueberries already in this one large Birdie's raised garden bed. The existing ones are a sunshine blue blueberry, and there's 3 of them. They're supposed to be self-pollinating, and you don't need other blueberries of other varieties around the area in order to get a harvest. And obviously they're very small, so it's going to take a while to get a harvest. But what I was reading up about was that even if it says it's a self-pollinating blueberry, you still need another variety in order to get great pollination. So that's why I had picked up this peach sorbet, and then I thought, well, I didn't actually check what the bloom period is for this to try and make sure that they're in bloom at the same time. And this one in the middle here is already blooming. So I thought, well, I better get this one a buddy. And also this is a 2.5 by 1.2 meter bed. And I had originally spaced it out so that there was a 1 meter gap between, or pretty much 1 meter gap between each of the blueberries, because it said that the blueberries could grow to about 1 meter wide. But it feels like a lot of space to dedicate to just 3 little bushes of blueberries. So I thought I would add to it, and they'll just have to learn to cope with each other. So these ones all have chill hours of, well, this one's 500, so we'll see how this one goes, but this one's 300 or less. So this has the peach sorbet has a lower chill hour requirement, but I'm hoping that given that this was sold on the south coast, that it is appropriate for the south coast. But let's get them into the blueberry bed so that they can start establishing and hopefully make lots and lots of beautiful blueberries. even though there's already quite a happy looking strawberry here, what I'm going to do is plant the blueberries back a little way from the other line, just so they all have as much space as they can possibly want to actually grow nice and big, bushy blueberry plants. Let's move all this mulch, and I'm going to dig it down. Would have been ideal to do this before I put the mulch on, but whatever. That's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it? Okay, now I know that the potting mix that I bought was quite alkaline, so I had put some berry specific potting mix on top, and I'm going to go and get more of that to fill in around this one now. So I'm using a rose, gardenia and azalea mix, and this is supposed to have a pH of 4.8 to 5.8, and when I tested this soil originally it was like an 8 or a 9, I can't remember now. So I have treated it with various amendments to raise the soil acidity, and it's actually due for more of that this week, but I'm not doing that now. I'm just trying to get things in the ground and worry about that later. In the ground, I mean in the raised garden bed. And so what I'm doing is building these up a little bit, because I know the soil in this raised garden bed is going to sink quite a bit. And we might actually just scoop this little strawberry up and build it up too, even though it was looking pretty happy. Oh, hello worms! Glad to see you've made the journey. I was quite surprised that there were no worms at all in that soil mix that I had ordered that was a specialized veggie compost. It's probably part of the reason why it was so alkaline. But I did transport some little wormies from home, so hopefully they're all happy in their new little home. Okay, so that's the pink icing blueberry done. Let's get the peach sorbet one in. If it tastes like peach sorbet meets blueberry, oh, it's going to be amazing. Okay, so this is the peach sorbet one going in. Of course, the strawberry plant was right where I want to put it. So it has been gently relocated. And now I'm just going to build the soil up around the peach sorbet blueberry and wait for peachy blueberries, which sounds just so good. Which, to be honest, is why I bought this plant. And I feel like that sort of thing happens all the time. You go to the nursery and you have a specific idea to get specific things, and next thing you know, you're coming home with a bundle of other things that you weren't planning on getting, but you're very happy you got. I can't wait for a few years' time when these plants are much bigger and much fuller, and it's going to look, hopefully, amazing. Hopefully it will also taste amazing. So I kind of feel like we've got a lot done. We've kind of planted the lilac tree down here, except because of the trench it needs to be solidified. I just wanted to put it in so that, because it's a bare root plant, I just wanted to get it in so that it didn't die in the bag that it arrived in. We got the trench done. We dealt with snakes and ticks and police officers. We got a peach tree in over here, a miniature peach tree, and 2 dwarf apple trees in over here, as well as 2 more blueberry plants. Oh, I wish I could tidy this mess up. I just need the plumber to come so I can get rid of the trench, but I guess that's the way things go. I've just got to do things one step at a time and have a little bit of patience, and we will get there. So thank you for hanging out with me today. It was a strange video, I know, and lots of very unexpected things happened, but at least we got a couple of the fruit trees planted. And now as they wake up from dormancy, they can wake up where they are supposed to be. And at least we got the trench dug so that we can have some taps out the back to water all of our beautiful plants that we've planted together. But there is still a lot more to be done. And hopefully I will see you guys over the next couple of weeks as we tackle the mess that's outside. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.